I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Yanish.
Here.
Councilmember Reese.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Anderson. Bauman.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Dockin.
Here.
Fagerly.
Here.
DeBleek. 7 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any proposed additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under miscellany, I wanted to add a comment about the visit last week of Major General Nash, our State Adjutant General.
Very well. Any others?
That's the one. We have to have the award for last.
You can. I can't do it.
Okay. We have a request from Mr. Mark Karnowski that I would like to discuss.
Thank you. We'll move to the consent if there are no others.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded to approve. Wait a minute. Now we have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull the Community and Activity Center Council minutes of April 5th and have 2 people speak briefly about some outstanding things that are happening out there.
We can do that. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent items less the Community and Activity Center Council minutes for April 5th, which have been pulled. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion? Motion has been. All those opposed say no. Motion carries. At this time, we'll hear from Leanne Freeman.
Kathy.
What did I say?
Kathy.
Kathy.
I thought Leanne was going to speak also.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Yanish and members of the council. My name is Catherine Johnson, and I'm the board chairperson for the Willmar Community and Activity Center. And I was invited by Councilman Jim Dockin to tell you a little bit about the center this evening. The Willmar Community and Activity Center was formerly known as the Willmar Senior Center. Most of you should know it by that name. We have a new name and a new logo, and you can see that on your handouts that are in your packets tonight. And our goal as a board is to market the Willmar Community and Activity Center to the entire community of people age 50 and older in Willmar. There's a lot to do and participate in at the center. We have a wood shop, computer lab, library, coffee bar, and exercise room. We offer classes through our Knowledge University. Lots of different people come in and speak about different topics that are of interest to people who ask Leanne about them or things that we think of that they might be interested in. And of course, right now, well, hopefully if spring comes, we're going to get started with a High Avenue Community Garden. And that garden has grown over the last couple years, and a lot of people like to help out with it, and we have Eagle Scouts who come and do projects there. And one of the things we're working toward is a better system for moving water, a better irrigation system for the garden. In addition to everything the Community and Activity Center offers, the building itself can be rented for meetings and gatherings. We're marketing this accessible and spacious meeting location, and usage has grown for both weekday and weekend use over the past 3 years. There are a lot of long-term clubs that meet there, as well as people that rent it for meetings and for family and community gatherings. You have a volunteer handbook that was recently completed by the volunteer committee, which is part of the board. Their goals are to recruit volunteers, ensure their development and training, and of course to recognize volunteers and the essential work they do. In your handout, there's a description of the responsibilities in each area of the center where volunteers are needed. In addition, you have a handbook for the center's maintenance personnel. Thank you so much for filling the maintenance position that was vacated when Betty retired. The Building and Finance Committee, members of the board as well, put together this handbook to ease the transition and make duties and expectations clear. It's important that the building be safely maintained and attractive so that usage and programs continue to grow. Also tonight in front of you are little postcards that are new, and these provide a snapshot view of what goes on at the Willmar Community and Activity Center. And they're brand new. These are being put around town in different businesses and places, and they kind of give an idea of what we do, and with contact numbers and people. And I also want to take a minute to thank Leanne Freeman for her tireless effort on behalf of the center. So are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the council? Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to file the minutes of the Community and Activity Center?
I would make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to accept the minutes of the Community and Activity Center. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. At this time, we'll move into the scheduled hearing for tonight, and I believe Mr. Peterson will explain what is happening here.
Mayor Yanish, members of the council, the hearing tonight is for a proposed municipal code amendment that would change the penalty for first-time violations of exterior storage and exterior maintenance regulations. It would change the violation from a misdemeanor to a petty misdemeanor. The reason this amendment has been proposed is to move these violations through the court system more efficiently. By not allowing jury trial for petty misdemeanors, it's the opinion of the city attorney and staff and judges that these violations can be resolved more quickly and at a lower cost. And it's a recommendation of staff that the ordinance be adopted, given a number, and published.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment? If not, I will close the hearing. Do I hear a motion? Or is it open for discussion? I'm sorry. Councilman Dockin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that this ordinance be adopted, given a number, and published.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made, and I'm sorry, now we open it up for discussion. A motion has been made to that we adopt the ordinance, give it a number, and publish it. All those, this is a roll call.
Councilmember Reese?
Aye.
Christensen?
Aye.
Amon?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Dockin?
Aye.
Fagerly?
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. At this time, we will have the Willmar City Council open forum, and we have one person scheduled to talk, Dr. Marty Jennings? Jennings? Okay.
Mayor Yanich and the council, thank you for your time. I'm Marty Janning, one of the parents of Troop 227 Boy Scouts. Most of them are first and second year scouts, and we have some other parents along here too. And they've been working in recent weeks on their citizenship and the community badge. And as part of this, they've been learning about the community in general and also what it means to be a good citizen in Willmar. Part of the project involves also attending a city council meeting tonight, and if they're able to and willing, I will have them each stand up and introduce their name And if they have an issue, they were to write up a small issue that they have in their own community that they wanted to address, and then I'll have them sit down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you do that? Would you introduce the boys?
Yep, I'll introduce each one as they come up here, so. Do you want to come up first? This is Cameron McLean.
Thank you for coming.
My name is Cameron McLean, and I don't have an issue. I would like to thank you for fixing a road on our bus route, mostly known as 4P. Mostly other buses ride on the same road, but this road, it has a certain bump that bounces almost the whole bus off at least 3 inches. And it was gonna be my issue to write, but apparently it's not, so I'd like to thank you for fixing it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Patrick, thank you for coming.
My name is Patrick Janning. The neighborhood I live in is Eagles Landing, and there is no playground in my neighborhood. I think it's a pain to drive all the way into town just to play in a playground. I think it would be great if the city built a playground in my neighborhood. It does not have to be a big one, just some swings, a basketball court, and a slide. If the city built a playground in my neighborhood, I would be very thankful for that, because I have younger siblings that like to play a lot.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, if you've got that, we'll bring it up here and I'll pass this on to the city clerk. If you want to bring that up to me, please. Thank you very much.
Tyler Stanley's then? He's not here. He's not here? Corbin? Eli? I have him. Sorry.
Eli, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Dear Marianish, my name is Eli Smith, and I am a Boy Scout of Pack 227. I enjoy canoeing on Foot Lake. I would hope that we could have a bridge for the fishing pier. This would allow people to canoe under the road. There would be a large culvert that small boats could go under after construction of the new pier. Near Raw Park, Country Highway 41 Northwest 7th Street, people can no longer canoe under roads. This would be a great improvement to the city of Willmar, Minnesota. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Could I have that so we can pass it on to the city clerk? Thank you, Eli. Logan, welcome.
Dear Mayor Yanish, my name is Logan. One of the things that bothers me is the college kids when they squeal their tires on the road right behind my house. One, it smells bad and it's loud. Another thing, I wish that there was more public fishing piers, because when school is out, the pier gets so crowded, it's hard to fish without getting really bad tangles. You need to cut the lines to get the tangles out, and that gets really frustrating.
Thank you very much. Could I have that as well? Thank you.
And Alex Broadway.
Welcome, Alex.
Dear Mayor Anderson, council members, I remember the city had previously proposed building 4 wind turbines. 2 turbines were proposed by the high school and 2 turbines by Ridgewater College. The 2 turbines by the high school have been working for a couple of years now, so I was looking for an update on if the city was still planning to install the 2 turbines by Ridgewater College or another site in the near future. I was also wondering if the city is considering any solar power alternatives.
Thank you very much. Could I have that? Thank you. Okay, well, I would like to applaud the Boy Scouts of Troop 227, am I right, for coming tonight. Thank you very much. I will turn these over to the city clerk, and hopefully he will get them to the right places, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming again. Thank you, Marty. We'll move on to item number 9, unless there is something else from the public. Holly, you want to give the Public Works Departmental report?
Thank you. Mayor Yanish, members of the council, and interested citizens. Tonight, I will be presenting the annual report for the Public Works Department. The city of Willmar is comprised of 15.3 square miles, or 9,800 acres. We have 2 lakes and 130 plus miles of streets. I'm going to be discussing 5 areas which are included in the Public Works Department, and those include engineering, street and park maintenance, wastewater treatment, airport, and building maintenance. I'll start with engineering. The engineering department has traditionally been known for street construction and reconstruction, as this is the bulk of the work done in this department. Although the department is also responsible for many other things, such as plan reviews, locates, excavation permits, plat reviews, public assistance, and any other items that may come up. This is a graph that just shows the breakup of all of the city streets. Currently we have 132.98 miles, and as you can see, 82.9% of that is local streets. A history of the street projects done by the engineering department is shown above. 2010 was $2.0 million in street projects. As you can see, this is the bulk of our work. And then the comparisons for previous years. This is just a graph showing the different types of construction and street history done since 1998. The pink showing the reconstruction, the green is the new construction, blue would be overlay, and the yellow is seal coating. As you can see, in 2010, we did not do any seal coating, and our new construction was up from 2009 as a result of Pleasant View Drive and the Roosevelt Road. As many of you may be aware, we base our street selection for our street program on the following criteria: the age and condition of the utilities, the stormwater issues that may or may not exist on the street, the amount of maintenance we spend on each street, the condition of the street, the location within the city. We like to spread our construction program in all 4 quadrants of the city, but at the same time not disturbing one neighborhood several years in a row. Also, funding sources, traffic volume, and coordination with other entities such as the county or the state projects. Here's a summary of the work done in 2010 and the breakdown of the costs. The bulk of the project was the 1001 project street improvements, and we also had the Swanson field and improvements, the paths, the west wind addition, inlet structure removal, and the hilltop with additional hilltop park tiling for some drainage issues we had in that area. A couple of the project highlights included Pleasant View Drive. This was new construction at 0.17 miles. The other new construction, as I mentioned, was Roosevelt Road. We also did the path paving along County Road 24 and 41, done in conjunction with Candy-Ojai County. Also, as part of our street program, we determined the need for sanitary sewer, sump pump requirements, and tiling that would be required in the streets, water main and storm sewer improvements. Another part of engineering's responsibility is to inspect the outfalls within the city. Currently, there are 400 plus outfalls and 150 plus ponds covering 207 acres in the city of Willmar. As of December 2010, 80% of all the outfalls have been inspected and inventoried, and 100% of the ponds have been inventoried. So we have a log of maintenance needs for these issues. It is the responsibility of the engineering department to implement the city's stormwater pollution prevention program, and by inspecting the ponds and the outfalls, this is one of our requirements. The remaining 20% of the outfalls left to be inspected will be done in 2011, as laid out in our permit. I'll move on now to the Street and Park Maintenance Department, also known more commonly as just Public Works. They are responsible for a variety of things, which include concrete work, snow removal, trees, street maintenance, mosquito control, infrastructure maintenance, airport maintenance, and events preparation. Here you'll see a graph showing the seasonal snowfall. Seasonal snowfall for 2010 was 48.8 inches. When I say seasonal snowfall, that includes October through December of 2009 and January through April of 2010. There was no snowfall in March or April of 2010. As a note, the 10-year average for seasonal snowfall is 48.09 inches. Calendar year snowfall for 2010 was 59.4 inches, slightly below the previous year, but much higher than the 10-year average of 47.53 inches. Blowing snow and loading snow. The Public Works Department is responsible for snow removal of all 130 miles of streets, 10 miles of sidewalk, 16.5 miles of paved and unpaved trails, 13 parking lots, 5 ice rinks, and the airport. Public Works spent 6,069 hours in labor removing snow, and it's compared to 5,491 hours in 2009. Responsibilities for the snow removal at the airport include the runway, the taxiway, and the hangar areas. In addition, $19,730 was spent for assistance from private contractors in snow hauling within the Central Business District, the airport, First Street, and Highway 12 areas. The brush site. The brush site was open from April 3rd to November 20th. There were 17,174 visits and approximately 3,165 tons of compost material hauled to the site in 2010. In 2010, Riverdale Environmental Services ground the brush pile and removed 2,038 cubic yards of material, which they used for biomass fuel twice in 2010. The brush site is staffed by 2 semi-retired individuals and is open Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 6. 2010 saw a decrease in usage of about 19% from 2009. In comparison, 2009 had 21,243 visits. One of the responsibilities of the Public Works staff is to roll and turn the material 3 times a year to aid in the decomposition process. They are also responsible to push up the piles after each day the site is open. Because we have a verbal agreement with Riverdale Environmental Services, it is no longer necessary to burn the material at the brush site. This is a pie chart of the boulevard tree inventory. 2010, we removed 8,745 Dutch elm trees. Excuse me. We removed 68 trees in 2010 for a total of 8,745 since 1972. Those included both public and private. In 2010, we removed 290 other trees and planted 406 boulevard trees. As a total, at the end of 2010, we had 17,026 boulevard trees that are maintained by city staff. Another note is we have 10,060 ash trees that would need to be removed from the boulevard alone if a emerald ash borer was detected. Once the Public Works has removed the trees, we do hire a private service to complete the tree removal by doing the stump removal. Tree maintenance is included as one of the tasks for Public Works. They trimmed approximately 1,500 trees in 2010. The reason for the trimming is traffic clearance, sidewalk clearance, shaping, and for hazards. Public Works staff also works in conjunction with the Minnesota Department of Ag, setting up and testing ash trees for emerald ash borer. To date, there have been no positive emerald ash borer tests in the city of Willmar. 2011 will again see the Public Works staff working with the Department of Ag for testing. Pothole patching and street patching. 37 days were spent hot patching streets in 2010. There was 1,011 tons of hot mix used compared to 800 tons in 2009. With that, there were 1,981 hours of labor. We also contracted for a large patch for a cost of $12,000. Crack sealing and seal coating is also contracted out as part of preventative street maintenance. Another street maintenance activity includes catch basin repair, which is done both by private contractors and our staff. Facility and field maintenance. Crews spent 3,196 hours getting ball diamonds ready for events. The hours spent on field maintenance increased by 44%. This was primarily as a result of the Stingers baseball in the Minnesota Amateur Baseball Tournament that occurred in 2010. Public Works crews also installed a deck area behind the home dugout at the stadium and installed a ticket booth at Baker Field. Some of the facility maintenance done in winter activities include installing, painting, and repairing hockey boards, sweeping and watering ice rinks, installing thin ice signs on Willmar and Foot Lakes, as well as checking and maintaining aerators on those lakes. Cross-country ski trails were set up by the ski clubs using city equipment, so there were no Public Works hours, labor hours spent doing the ski trails. We traded equipment for labor hours, essentially. Some miscellaneous items that are done by the crews. Sign replacement. They replaced or installed 133 signs, or repaired. They did some painting, 372 arrows, 944 crosswalk blocks, 14 railroad crossings, and 49 stop bars were repainted. The repainting of center lines and lane lines is contracted out annually. In 2010, we spent just a little over $11,000 for painting of our main streets. Crews also sprayed the city for mosquitoes 10 times in 2010. The average is 8 to 12 times per year. Public Works staff also worked with cutting-edge services for fire hydrant rod replacements on 170 hydrants that were recalled. They also spent time servicing 1,600 public and private hydrants each year. This is done to prevent freezing in the winter. They cleaned 101.4 miles of sewers as preventative maintenance to minimize sewer backup. Also, yearly televising of the sanitary sewer lines is typically contracted. This is done for determining what the needs are for street reconstruction programs or in areas where there is known obstruction. Other miscellaneous responsibilities for the Public Works staff include park maintenance, graffiti removal, weed control, mowing, providing traffic control for community events, cleaning catch basins, street sweeping, airport maintenance, installing banners and Christmas decorations, and helping with the engineering and maintaining and inspecting outfalls. Now we'll move on to the wastewater treatment facility. I'm just going to give a brief snapshot in this annual report for the wastewater treatment facility due to the fact that monthly reports are still being received. The 2010 average flow was 4.3 gallons per day, and that is a combination from both the old facility and the new facility. The 2009 average flow was 3.3 gallons per day, million gallons per day. The average flow for 2010 increased 22% from 2009, most likely a result of increased rain which gets into the system through direct connections to the sanitary sewer, which can be attributed to sump pump connections, inflow infiltration as a result of cracks in underground infrastructure. Peak flow for 2010 was 3.6 million gallons on June 11th, 2010. The collection system. Our collections department monitors and maintains 25 lift stations, plus an additional 2 lift stations built at each of the Jenny-O Turkey Store sites. However, the Arby's lift station was taken offline in the fall. The other thing that the wastewater treatment staff is responsible for is grease management, and that continues with door hangers being distributed to residents when the lines are flushed. The biosolid. 2010 land applied 4.24 million gallons of biosolids on 2,200 acres of MPCA-approved ag land. And the new plant. Initiation of the operation of the new plant started on September 28, 2010, meaning that the new site was receiving 100% of the flow. The relocation and conveyance system program will wrap up in 2011 with the completion of the decommissioning projects. As a note, there is no pump station at the old site, and all flow is now directed to the new plant through the gravity flow infrastructure. Completing punch list items is ongoing, and we hope to close out the project in July 2011. The new wastewater treatment plant lab. The lab was certified, and therefore it must conform to state and federal rules. They had to recalculate and recalibrate instruments and recertify and perform demonstration of capabilities on each testing parameter by the staff members. The lab is certified for 5 parameters: BODs, TSS, fecal coliform, phosphorus, and ammonia. This chart should look familiar to everyone. By December of 2010, there was 14,800 lineal feet of 40H interceptor, 491 feet of 36-inch interceptor pipe, and 27 manholes installed on D3, which was substantially complete on June 14th. D4 was substantially complete on June 14th, and D5 was substantially complete on September 20th. Also, 2 pump stations were constructed, and substantial completion of the new plant was done. Then the open house. The open house and dedication was held on October 22nd to celebrate the successful startup of the new $86.2 million wastewater treatment facility and conveyance system improvement program. There were about 300 people in attendance. The airport. Administrative duties are done at city offices by staff member. We did renew a contract for the operations supervisor with Maximum Cruise Aviation on February 1st, 2010. The operations supervisor performs day-to-day on-site operations, ensuring the safety of the airport and runway conditions. They also are required to do minor maintenance, mowing, and shoveling. We pay a fee of $1,232 a month for that service. An aviation day was held at the airport in 2010 on September 5th. It was hosted by the EAA and had over 1,000 people in attendance. This event was hosted in a private hangar. 2010 fuel sales. The city of Willmar receives about 0.075 cents per gallon on every fuel transaction that occurs. We received $7,500 as part of the fueling contract in 2010. As you can see, typically the 100 low lead or avgas is dispensed more often, as most of the users are general aircraft. However, there are a couple of months where jet fuel gas exceeded avgas, which has been the trend for the past several years. The yearly fuel summary. A new credit card system at the airport for fueling was installed in October due to new credit card system regulations. The total fueling for 2010 was increased from 2009, with a total amount of 98,524 gallons being dispensed, which is more than likely a result of more jets using the airport. Some of the improvements that were done at the airport: in May and June of 2010, there was insulation, gutters, and venting were added to the 12-unit T-hanger to help improve the water infiltration issues. This was an improvement, however, it was not a fix-all. A fence was also installed along the east side of the entrance road. This was to help some of the cut-through traffic, and this was also planned during the new construction but was never completed. Currently, 9 out of the 12 units are rented in the 12-unit T-hanger, and 2 out of the 6 units are rented in the other hangar. Lastly, the building maintenance department. The building maintenance staff maintains approximately 65,800 square feet of floor area combined in all the city buildings. Listed here are some of the capital and maintenance improvement. Some of the projects are sanding and resealing the gym floor at the auditorium, roof repairs at both the auditorium and City Hall, shower room repairs in the basement of the auditorium, as well as daily repair and cleaning at both facilities. The Honeywell HVAC components were removed and replaced with HVAC products from Chapel Central for both facilities. By doing this, staff can now monitor and adjust the system remotely. Work at other city buildings included cleaning, waxing, and shampooing floors at the Community Center and Rack 8, cleaning and waxing floors at Public Works Complex, and general cleaning at some of the other facilities. This concludes the 2010 Public Works Annual Report. I will now be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Holly, for a very thorough report. Now's your chance, council people, if you want to ask Holly some questions. Easy. Hearing none.
I'll ask her. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since it was such a bad year for our roads, how much patching and pothole repair do you think we'll be doing this year? As much as last year? Or?
My initial estimation is the patching and repair will exceed last year's because we do have a large list of patching that needs to be done, and as you know, the damage to the streets is quite extensive in some areas. I am still in the process of putting together the best way to proceed with repairing those streets.
Do you think we'll contract out any of the big patches like we did?
Some of the larger ones we may have to, as we did last year. Some of the streets we may have to consider reconstructing rather than patching, and some of the streets we'll have to consider just patching on a temporary basis.
Thank you.
Holly, I have one question. Is that I noticed that you had said that the brush deposit site was down 19%, I think you had told me, from last year. Do you have any idea why that is?
I do not know that answer.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Ahmed?
Just a question. Holly, in your opinion on the amount of patch sealing that we've been doing throughout the city, are we staying up on top of it, or do we need to increase that? Maybe after this report or after a review of the streets, we might have to change our budget, and I'm all in favor of that. Also, I did call you, and I want to say thank you for listening. But yeah, you're right, absolutely, on some of the streets that are heaved and broken, they're not worth repairing. There's a large area of them that are gone, and I don't know about the rest of the council, but we may have to address street reconstruction again this year if we need to rebid, and I would not be opposed to that. Thank you.
Thank you, and I expect I will be visiting back with you regarding the streets.
Councilman Christen, did you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Holly, for your report. Rick mentioned all the street repair that's going to be needed done this coming year. I'm just curious, is there a time somewhere in the near future where we might try some foam below some of these places that really heave every year?
I am not opposed to doing a test section of concrete versus asphalt. I don't know that 2011 is the year to do it. Perhaps it's something we could look at in 2012, so it gives us a little more time to research it and be sure we are putting together the right design for a concrete street, or perhaps to do an alternate bid on a street or project in the future.
I know when it comes to redoing the street that I live on, I would like that alternative, to be able to opt for concrete with some foam below it versus an asphalt street. And maybe we need to put some numbers together and offer it. We have a concrete plant right in town here and people that sell the foam. And I think others would be open to that idea also, especially if the road's going to last. You know, currently they're 20-year roads, and these may last 50 or more. But I would like to see something done like that sometime down the road here. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Holly? Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. At this time, we'll move to the Public Works Safety Committee report.
It took me by surprise. I thought we were doing the finance first.
I'm sorry, we can. I have it listed here first. The Finance Committee report, we can do that first if you like.
Maybe Mr. Fager.
Mr. Fagerly, since Bruce is missing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met on Monday, April 11th. Item number 1 was a public forum. No one was present to address the committee. Item number 2 was Rice Hospital first quarter report. The hospital CEO Mike Schramm and CFO Bill Finsky reported to the committee that 2010 ended on a positive note with an increase in net assets. This upward trend has also continued into the first quarter of 2011. Item 3 was the MUC first quarter report. The utility manager, Bruce Gaum, reported to the committee that while 2010 revenues were slightly below budget, there was an increase in net assets at the end of the year. The first quarter of 2011 reflects a continued decrease in revenues. It was noted that electrical rates are scheduled to be reviewed to determine if a possible increase needs to be proposed. Item 4, 2012 budget calendar. Staff reviewed with the committee the proposed 2012 budget calendar. It was noted that some items have been moved to an earlier date, including the mayor's presentation of the budget to the Finance Committee, which has been scheduled for July this year. It is the intent that this part of the process be finished prior to City Administrator Schmidt's retirement at the end of July. Following discussion, it was moved and seconded to introduce a resolution approving the 2012 budget calendar as presented, and I'll introduce that resolution.
Second.
Excuse me, a motion has been made and seconded to introduce a resolution approving the 2012 budget calendar as presented. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries.
Item number 5 was the Western Collector appraisals and budget. Staff distributed to the committee the preliminary Western Interceptor budget estimated at $4,973,109, which is proposed to be financed through the local option sales tax funds and a temporary bonding package. In order to include preliminary expenses in the bonding portion of this project, the city must declare its intent to reimburse itself for any costs incurred prior to the financing. Following discussion, a motion was made and seconded and passed to introduce a resolution declaring the city's intent to reimburse itself for all preliminary costs of construction of the Western Collector. And I'll introduce that resolution.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to introduce a resolution declaring the city's intent to reimburse itself for all preliminary costs of construction of the Western Collector. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Amon.
I'm sorry?
I had a question. Is it okay?
Councilman Almond, sure.
Thank you. The amount of reimbursement, is there any estimates as to what you can foresee or the costs for the city's share of this project?
We don't break it down like that in the resolution that you're about to pass. They want the total amount in there. So it's $3,600,000. That subset gathers the local option sales tax. So to directly answer your question, no, I don't know. You'd be more in the administrative things that are incurred ahead of time, and we generally don't always have those.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Dockin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is it not true that some of this funding will come potentially from local option sales tax, but also from the PFA also?
That's correct. We just haven't established at this point what that ratio is going to be.
Any ideas at all on the ratio?
If I was an engineer, I'd tell you 50-50. Isn't that right? And Steve would tell me I'm within 50% either way. I'm correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Almond?
One other question. By introducing and passing this resolution, are we pretty much dedicating or committing ourselves to the Western Interceptor project?
No, I mean, we've committed ourselves to that project a long time ago, but technically committing ourselves or obligating ourselves, we haven't gotten to that point yet, and we wouldn't until we entered into some sort of a contract to construct it, and that won't happen until 2012 now.
Well, I'm still a little apprehensive about the expense of that project, but I'll support this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
The second part of this resolution is adopting the preliminary Western Interceptor budget as presented at $4,973. $4,973,109. And I'll introduce that resolution.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to adopt the resolution, to introduce the resolution, I should say, adopting the preliminary Western Interceptor budget as presented. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
The motion carries.
And the next item, the committee reviewed a proposal received for appraisal services which are required to complete the Western Collector project. And after discussion, staff was directed to obtain competitive quotes from other interested appraisal firms. I don't know if you got that.
We have secured the intent of a second contractor to bid that, but no numbers.
Okay.
And that was for information only?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And if there's no other questions, I move to file the minutes.
Second. The motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Finance Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Now we will go to the Public Works Safety.
I'll go along with that.
All right.
The first item was in regards to our 2011 street improvements and other improvements within the community, and bids have been received. We received 2 bids. The apparent low bidder was from Dunnick Incorporated for $1,796,223.84, and that's under the engineer's estimate, which was $2,032,021. And we are required to hold an assessment hearing, so I would introduce a resolution to call for that assessment hearing at 7:02 p.m. on May 16th.
Second. The motion has been made and seconded to call for an assessment hearing at 7:02 p.m. on May 16th, 2011. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries.
The next item was brought to the committee by Councilmember Dockin, and it was in regards to some concerns of residents around 3rd Street Southeast, where there's some trees that had been removed, and the trees had been hollowing, and the center was soft in some of them, and they were in the right-of-way. They did not have emerald ash borer. And if space permits, trees will be replanted, and those residents can request specific types of trees for replacement from the list of trees available through the Public Works Department. That's for information only. The next item was in regards to the Pacific Avenue Street vacation, and this came to the committee from Councilmember DeBleek, where he requested a discussion of traffic impacts resulting from that vacation. The plans for street vacation were initiated in April of this year, and staff stated there are no complaints, have not been any complaints received, and the alternate route of Benson Avenue is a 9-ton route and can handle the traffic. The fourth item, that was for information only. The fourth item was brought to the committee by Councilmember Christensen, and he had requested that the committee discuss street sweeping for 2011, and we were informed there is no money in the budget for, in the general operating budget for 2011 to additional sweeping costs, and it was the consensus of the committee not to proceed with hiring additional street sweeping services for 2011, other than those supported by our own personnel and our sweeper. That was for information only. The fifth item was the March monthly report from Rhonda Ray from Donahue and Associates on activities at our new wastewater treatment plant relocation project. And the program management activities included submittal of pay request number 18 for the 30-year loan to the PFA for the Clean Water Revolving Fund. They continue to provide information for the city's asset management, maintenance, and operational costs, and work continues on the gravity collection, piping, and force main piping costs. Donahue and Associates are assisting legal counsel and city staff to provide information on property acquisition, and just 2 properties remain unsettled. Once the documents are signed, the contractor has 90 days to complete the project, which is lowering the manholes and completing the punch list items. Projects 813D3, 814D4 are complete. Meetings continue between the city and property owners regarding the final restoration of the properties. Project 815D5 was approved for final project acceptance and final payment in September of last year. Project 816D6 was approved in January 2011, and all systems at the wastewater treatment facility are operational and being operated by our own staff. And the contractor continues to work on the punch list items and post-startup services. The construction of Project 1017B, which is the decommissioning of our old wastewater treatment facility, is continuing, and construction in the administration building is complete, and the contractor declared substantial completion on the administration building as of February 25th. The contractors removed the primary settling complex, the excess flow basins, the biofilter building, FRP odor control tower, roughing filter, affluent pump station, chlorine building, secondary settling basin, sludge thickener, and most of the digesters 1 and 4 and portions of digesters 2 and 3. And the contractors continue to haul sludge from the digesters and debris from the site. The 95 plans and specs for Project 1109B2, decommissioning the Ortonblad and Arby's lift stations and sewer reroute were completed and routed for review and comments. Relating to the budget, $78.8 million of the $86 million project has been spent. The last item was Joe Ridler, a resident of the community, was at our committee meeting, and he brought up some of what Councilmember Christensen was talking about, the utilizing concrete versus asphalt for our street construction, and that's for information only. That's all that's on our report, Mr. Mayor. If there's questions, I certainly can take them. Otherwise, I'd move to file the minutes.
I'm sorry, a motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Public Works Committee. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Next item on the agenda would be the Community Development Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Community Development met on April 14th. Besides the regular council members and staff, Mary Yanish was present, Nikki Ilgen, acting HRA Director, Nikki Ilgen, acting HRA Director, and Bev Doherty, Willmar Design Center. Item number 1 was public comments, and there were no public comments offered at this meeting. Item number 2 dealt with the new West Winds housing project update, and this is for information only. Nikki Ilgen, acting director for the Willmar HRA, presented an update on West Winds housing project. Information presented included eligibility criteria, maintenance responsibilities, and occupancy rates. It was noted that there are substantial numbers of people on the waiting list for housing in this development. It's also fair to mention that a sizable number of calls for service by Willmar Police Department was also discussed under this item. Item number 3, the Design Center project, again for information only. Bev Doherty, Design Center staff person, appeared before the committee to explain several art projects proposed for the upcoming summer. The first project is a coffee mug decorating contest. 20 pieces of coffee mug art will be unveiled during the Willmar Fests and will be auctioned in the fall. There will be a film series on food sponsored by the community-owned grocery store project. The final project was one she called yarn bombing. A number of local knitters will be knitting a tree sweater for a tree on the boulevard by Bethel Lutheran Church. Item number 4, rental housing inspection program, and this again for information only. Staff presented an update on the most common rental housing inspection program violations, and I have an attachment, I'll go through that. It was noted that these violations occurred in 1- and 2-family structures, and they are, number 1, repair or replace broken windows, storms, and screens. Number 2, smoke detectors that have been disabled, batteries removed, or detectors missing. Number 3, plumbing leaks, repair, and improper installations. Number 4, mold, caulking, and water damage repairs in bathrooms. Number 5, improper storage and removal of garbage and rubbish. Number 6, electrical problems and repairs. Broken light fixtures and globes, switch plates and outlet covers, and temporary wiring improperly installed. Number 5, again for information only, census challenge. Staff presented a letter from the Census Bureau outlining the city's right to challenge the census of housing counts, it was the recommendation of staff that no challenge be filed as the housing counts are not in dispute. Rather, it would be the total number of persons that would be questioned. Item number 6, mobile home park conditions, again for information only. The committee reviewed a PowerPoint presentation showing conditions at the mobile home parks. Exterior storage and maintenance violation were prevalent, as were site maintenance and drainage issues. An attempt will be made to coordinate a meeting with city, county, and mobile home park representatives to discuss the ongoing park conditions issues. On a related note, the committee briefly discussed a citywide cleanup effort. Mayor Yanish agreed to speak with local waste haulers to solicit their involvement. Item number 7, airport land release update, again for information only. Staff and the mayor offered a brief recap of the recent meeting with the FAA and SHPO regarding the land release. The next steps in dealing with the historical designation issue were explained, as was a tentative timetable for future meetings. There were no further items to come before our committee, and so unless there are questions, Mr. Mayor, I would move to file these minutes.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to file the minutes of the Development Committee, Community Development Committee. All those in favor? Any discussion?
Ron seconded. Ron seconded.
Yeah. The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Item number 13 is a consideration of the improvement report on 19th Street Northwest. Holly, would you address that for us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As we discussed earlier with some of our street conditions, this is a picture of 19th Street Northwest, 2010. Just recently, it came to our attention that this road has significantly deteriorated and has become a public safety issue. And so I'm proposing that we include this as one of our streets to be reconstructed in 2011. This street was originally built in 1977. It currently has 4 inches of base, aggregate base, and 3 inches of bituminous. These are just a few more pictures showing the condition of the street, and this is 19th Street Northwest off of Gorton Avenue. The action needed for tonight is to pass 2 resolutions, one to order the preparation of the improvement report, and the second one would be to receive the improvement report and call for a public hearing to be held on May 2nd, 2011. And we need to do this because it was not included in our original street improvement project. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Do we have any questions from the council? Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment that that'd probably be a great place to start with concrete. I'll move the recommendation to
order first.
Excuse me, to order the improvement report.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded ordering the preparation of an improvement report. Any discussion?
Question. Holly, on 7th Avenue southeast off Lakeland Drive, I talked to you about that the other day. It's just as in bad shape as that one right there. Are we going to be doing that also, or can that be?
Again, I have a 2-page list of streets with frost boils and deteriorating pavement that I am evaluating to see whether we want to include it in reconstruction or do some patching, and I anticipate I'll be coming back in the near future with a recommendation of how to handle those streets.
We're still working on a financing plan for this street here. As Holly mentioned, it wasn't in the improvement report initially, and when we put those final products together, it's kind of, in some respects, like a jigsaw puzzle, because Holly in her report talked about addressing different areas of the community each year, different quadrants. Well, we also have to tie them all together so that there's some affordability. So we look at doing state aid streets, and we look at streets where there are not a lot of property owners with addresses along those routes to share in the costs, and that has an impact on the overall budget and our ability to do a project. So we have to be very sensitive. You know, we can add streets. There's a lot of them that need to be done, but at the same time, we need to come up with the money to do it.
I understand that.
Holly, I have a question. Holly, can you tell me how long it's been since we've done this? I may have missed that when you said it.
This street was built in 1977.
And it has not
So,
been...
Not to my knowledge, no.
Jensen, okay.
It was also proposed to be reconstructed in 1999.
Yes.
And the property owners petitioned the city council to exclude it from that improvement project that year.
So this will be assessed to the property owners?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to order the preparation of an improvement report. Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
That motion carries.
You need the second motion also,
Yes.
right away? So I'll move that motion that we receive the improvement report and call for a public hearing.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to receive the improvement report and call for a public hearing. Any discussion on that?
Indeed.
May 2nd.
Okay.
Councilman Fagerly?
I just have a general question. Is the material we get now as good as it was back in the 70s or 80s? Is it
Well, I
less?
wasn't born in the 70s, so I'm not sure. But I will say that we are putting in a thicker section now when we reconstruct our streets. We're putting in 10 inches of base and 4 inches of bituminous along with fabric. And the list of the frost boils that I do have, the majority of those streets are the older streets and not ones that have been reconstructed recently. I don't have those final dates yet, but it is the older streets that we're finding these issues on.
But I was just wondering, on 23rd Street Southeast, they just did an overlay last year.
Yep.
And it seems like they don't seam them together as well as they used to. Is that because we do it too late in the fall and it's not warm enough, or?
There were some disincentives received on that project because of the quality of the material, I will say. And then when we come back and put in the second course on some of our streets, they do adjust that for future. So I don't know if it's the quality of the material or if it's the compaction or a variety of different things. I guess I can't answer that right now.
Okay, thanks.
Roll call.
Councilmember Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
The motion carries. Thank you, Holly. The consideration of an unpaid utility charge as a lien. Kevin, would you explain that to us, please?
Mayor Yanish, members of the council, it is customary that in late November, or early November, we come to the council and certify for collection a dozen or so properties that have utility liens placed against them. This was a special case where the Municipal Utilities Commission reviewed this request and the dollar amount of it and thought, due to some pending activities in the legal field, it would be much better if this property had this lien placed against it right now rather than wait for that end of the year resolution. So it is staff's recommendation that we introduce this resolution placing the lien that's listed there, the dollar amount against this property as listed on your executive summary.
So move.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to introduce the resolution to place the lien on the property. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Christensen.
Aye.
Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. We've reached that point where we'll announcement of the council committee meeting dates. Do we do finance committee?
Next Monday,
Monday,
25th, 4:45,
4:45 at the
City Hall.
City Hall. Okay, and the Public Works?
Public Works, Tuesday, the 26th, 4:45.
And the Community Development? Councilman Johnson.
Thursday, the 27th, 4:45.
Thursday.
No, that's a
28th.
Wednesday.
Must be the 28th.
28th. 28th? I'm sorry, 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Well, labor.
Labor.
May 4th, Wednesday, 4:45.
May 4th, which is what?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Thank you. Miscellany.
Mr. Mayor, we'll show 2 more dates that are important so everybody hears them. We've got the April 27th, Wednesday, charter work session
Yes.
at the Fire Hall.
April 27th at the work session at the Fire Hall.
And April 29th, strategic planning meeting.
Thank you.
Does that start at 8 or 9?
8.
Because in your letter, it said 9, and I thought it was 8.
I'll be finalizing the agenda tomorrow morning with the facilitator, and he had suggested 9, and I haven't gotten any feedback yet from the group, so 9 to 5. If you want to start earlier, that's fine by me.
We got all kinds of things to
This
talk
gives
about.
you a little time in the morning to wrap some things up before you have to shut your cell phones off for the day.
No. Thank you, Kevin. I might also add under announcements that the April 20th meeting at the airport, the new airport, the Airport Commission meeting, and any of the council people and city staff that can make it to that would certainly be appreciated.
Can we have more than 3 at the meeting, council people?
I think we've published a notice.
Oh, okay.
Already done that.
And then under miscellany, Councilman Race, did you have something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, our past mayor, Mayor Les Heitke, was very involved with both the League and the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. The League of Minnesota Cities has a City Council Ludwig Award, and we received a email. We all got a copy of it. It's from Mark Karnowski from the city of Princeton, the city administrator, and they would like to nominate Mayor Heitke for the Ludwig Award. We need to adopt a resolution here from the City Council supporting this nomination. So I would like to introduce a resolution supporting his nomination.
Second.
A resolution has been made and seconded to adopt the resolution to support Mayor Hackey in his award from the National League of Cities. Any discussion? Councilman Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too received that request. I was wondering why it's coming from the league, and I don't know why it needs a council resolution. I mean, and why wouldn't it come through a committee so we could discuss it instead of doing it publicly like this? I mean, I don't understand the resolution. If they want to give them the award, they're free to do that. I mean,
It's not coming from the league, though. It's coming from an individual.
then why can't he give them the, I mean, the award? What's the deal? I mean, why do they need city approval for that?
I don't think it's required. I think if you read the email,
He requested it.
He was requesting and suggesting that it would be helpful in the nomination process.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded for the resolution to give the mayor Mayor Hackey the award from the National League of Cities. All those in favor? Or no, this is a resolution. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Supporting resolution. Councilmember Amon.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Dockin.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Councilman Dockin, did you have something?
I didn't, Mr. Mayor. As you know, last week we had the newly appointed by Governor Pawlenty Adjutant General Richard Nash, and I received, and I sat in for a meeting that he had requested in your place, and I appreciate that. He sent a very nice letter back, and if I could read it, it says, "Dear Mr. Dockin, I would like to thank you for your participation in my recent visit to Willmar. I was pleased that the city has such a great relationship with the local National Guard unit. Willmar is truly a great example of how a community can rally around its military men and women and their families. I encourage you to keep up the good work and continue to look for ways to support military families." During my visit to Willmar, I was able to meet with city leadership, veteran service organizations, college leaders, major employers, and Homefront Connection, among others. I want to thank you for your involvement in these organizations. Thank you for making the city of Willmar a fine host for our National Guard unit. I attended two different meetings. One was at the local National Guard, where General Nash spoke. The principal reason for him coming to town is that Willmar was recently designated as a Beyond the Yellow Ribbon community. It's a really high honor. And Cammie Nelson and Conrad Bostrom are the two local people, in addition to many others, that have really been the spearhead for doing such a good job. And we've got the signs up now, thanks to Holly and Public Works, and they look very nice on the Welcome to Willmar. The thing that was the most impressive that the general said was this: we have National Guard personnel from 500 cities in the state of Minnesota. There's 940 cities in our state. 12,500 serve in either the Army or the air portion of the National Guard. 55 just left for active duty for 1 year in Afghanistan. I mean, they do a tremendous amount of work there, but they also do things when we have floods and tornadoes and forest fires and everything like that. And so he was thankful for the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon award that we got, but he was very highly complimentary of Homefront Connection, Cammie Nelson and Conrad Bostrom. He said we are the 28th city that has been designated, and he's been to all the other cities where they have this activity supporting military families. He said Willmar is the gold standard today. Willmar is the gold standard. So we're doing things right, again, thanks to Homefront Connection.
And thank you, Councilman Dockin, for the wonderful job that you did in escorting and taking care of General Nash and his entourage when he was here. I appreciate that very much for filling in for me. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded. We are adjourned.